Hello everybody, so welcome to the social media training. Thanks for giving up some time today to engage with this. It's such an important thing. So we're going to prove that by getting our phones out and having a little test. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to scroll through your favorite social media channel. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Go. Okay, stop there. I would have given you some music, but probably safer without. I wonder how many posts you got through. 3, 5, maybe more. I bet it was more than one though, wasn't it? And I wonder if I hadn't stopped you, would you have just gone on for a bit? Because actually it's quite addictive. You want to see the next one. Oh, there's something else. Oh, something else below that. It's social media. It's everywhere. It's real today stuff, isn't it? As well. What's going on today? People are commenting on the news as it happens today. It's very fast moving and it's very variable in voice. If you look at, I get Twitter now as a Twitter feed on my thing. I have to turn it off the notifications because some of it is like whoa, very very strong in language, in tone. But it's a chance for us as a family of projects within FaithWorks to really engage with people who we don't normally get to, and actually a chance to tell our story, but not just tell it, to engage with people about our story. So how do we do it really well? And that's the point of today. And Rob and Ruth and Candice are going to talk about the marketing side and the design side and some practical do's and don'ts of how we use social media platforms. But I want to suggest as a starting point 4 elements that make up our voice or our personality as members of that FaithWorks family of projects. So first of all, what's underpinning what we say? Some might call that our values, our brand values. We spent quite a lot of time over these last months actually trying to put some words onto the values. What is it that when you look at FaithWorks, what comes to mind? And the 5 words that we have come up with was we're welcoming, we're alongside you, we're trusted, we are practical, and we're empowering. And I wonder whether those come across in our social media posts. How do people see us? Do they, when they look at our posts, go, oh, that's really practical? I think they do. And I think that's part of our voice or personality. But it's also about how does it sound. So the second thing is about our tone, if you like. Some of just as I said, some of the things I get on Twitter, the tone is really surprisingly strong, or not just strong, but harsh. And I wonder what's the tone we want to get across. And of course, it's linked to our values, but it's also some really helpful stuff in our media policy. So the 2 things that it says in there is that we are never party political and we are never negative about another organisation. And that's really important. We might want to sometimes have some things that we need to say or things that we don't agree with the council or with other statutory bodies. Our approach in FaithWorks is that we go and have that chat face to face if we can, but certainly behind closed doors and not on a platform where people don't have the right to reply. So our tone is also how we respond to those who are critical of us. You don't have to go blind in a lot of press releases or indeed in social media to sometimes find people who are critical. They will be inevitably. How do we respond to those? The grace of how we respond there is just as important as the messages that we put out initially. You know this, I'm sure, but this is just reiterating. So we've got our values, our tone, and then the third one is about our language. Now, my wife gets a lot of stuff through about what's going on with Ukraine at the moment. Really interesting post the other day from some people who were on the border, on the Poland-Ukraine border. A lady arrived and said, I'm not a refugee, I'm a tourist. And actually the response back to them was, great to see you, you are our guests. It's that language of, I don't want to be seen as a victim, as a refugee. I want to be seen as an individual who's made a choice to come. And I know that many of us are working on language that we can use to get us away from saying the homeless or the poor in terms of putting labels onto people, that each person is an individual who we work with and who we see. Maybe an individual going through a tough time, but they are an individual. And I wonder therefore what language you're working on, which should be helpful for other people to share. The other side of language is how let's sound a quality organisation, but let's not be banal. I wonder whether, we have a rule in our household which is trying not to use the word nice. But even when we say on a social media post, well, I'm really pleased by that, or I'm elated by that, you know, it has a real strength to the words. So it's not about sitting there with our thesaurus all the time, but sometimes some language which stands out a little bit from the rest of the posts that are there, which leads to the fourth point, which I call stickiness. How do our posts stand out in people's minds? I love this book, Made to Stick. It's all about how some messages really remain with us, while others sort of just float out of our brains really quickly. And it has 6 suggestions of how you do this. I'm not suggesting you remember all of these, but it's helpfully spells out the word success without the second S. So simple. Is it unexpected? Is it really concrete? Is it credible? Is it emotional? And does it have a story attached to it? Success. There you go. I want to pick out. Actually, I'll tell you what, if you promise to read it, I'll subsidise you having a copy of this. How about that as a promise? There you go. But I want to take that second one in particular. How unexpected are some posts? So when I was dialing through those posts today in preparation for this, there was one post which was just a photo, no words at all, just a photo of a beach with some water bottles and some other equipment on it. Now, I have to say, I don't really know what it was about, but it stopped me for a moment to actually look at what is this about, because there wasn't any words on it. It was unexpected. It stood out from the rest of the pack, so to speak. And it may not be engaging yet, but there may be a follow-on which is going to help to do that engagement. It's already started the thing. So these points are all interlinked. Let's go through those 4 again. The values that we have underlying what we do, the tone, our tone of voice, the language that we use, and the stickiness of our message, maybe something unexpected. So what's the voice that's going to attract people to staying on a FaithWorks social media platform? And of course, people were really attracted to Jesus, most attractive human on the planet, ever, I would say, and not just attractive from a beauty point of view, but attractive literally in terms of people were attracted by his words and who he was. And if our organisation is based on him, then hopefully we will also be attractive too by the way that we get our message across. So those 4 points just to starting the discussion. We've got time now for any questions and maybe something from yourselves, but if not, I've got 3 for you. How do we respond when people send us negative comments? What words are you using instead of some of the old labels that we may have been putting onto groups of people? And what unexpected posts have you seen recently that really stand out for you? Thanks again for all you are doing in this area. I know that you're really good at this, and most of this will be super familiar and will just underline some of the things already going on for you. But thank you, and we're going to do it even better in the days to come. Take care and talk to you soon.